Okay, hello and welcome to another episode of Sacred Conversations with me, Faye and Rue. And today, it's so special. Our episode today is so special because we have our first Pinoy guests, our first Filipino guests. And we're so honored and so grateful na kasama namin kayo ngayon. Robert, Albert, and Pio. Ayan, so hello to our listeners. Okay, so I think we can start by a little bit of introduction. So maybe you can share a little bit about yourself, of course, your name and what you want to share to our listeners. And also, maybe you can talk about what you do and also what you're passionate about. Okay. So who would like to start?
Kahiya.
Sige, yung ano na lang.
Albert wants to start.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Alphabetical.
I'm Albert Labrador. I'm 56 years old. I'm here because I know Pio, Ruba, and Robert. I met them long ago when I was in college. If you ask about professions, right now my life has changed. I've become a teacher rather than my long-time term profession was as a photographer. I have been a photographer since 1992. So ngayon, dahil sa, what do you call this, dahil sa pandemic, life as I know it has shifted. Right now, I'm teaching photography at Mint College and UP College of Fine Arts. My interests are varied. Masyado ko maraming hobbies. I think Ru wanted me to talk about my interest in scale modeling. So that comes from my interest in military history. So one of my deepest passions is military history. Another one is nature, wildlife, hiking, that kind of thing. Another one is I'm currently teaching a Brazilian martial art called capoeira to 50 years old and above. And then other things I'm passionate about because of my wife and because of Pio, I'm now passionate about cycling. So that's where my life is at now.
Wow. Thank you, Albert. And happy that you are here. Ang daming ang interest, no? Talagang napaka-varied. Nakakatawa. Okay, salamat. Who would like to go next?
Pio wants to go next.
Okay, sige, I'll go ahead. Thank you.
Sorry.
That's all right. Hello. So the spotlight's on me now, right? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
all right.
I can hear you loud and clear.
My name is Pio, and si Robert, ako, si Albert, well, we met during the 80s pa. So I guess you can extrapolate my age. No? I'm 50 plus years old, and I'm hanging on to that. So right now, ang ginagawa ko talaga, I'm developing a farm dito sa Montalban. It's quite hard work, but medyo mabagal ang process, pero we're getting there. But yung pinaka-hobby, yung pinaka-interest ko above anything else is cycling. And when I say cycling, it's not racing bikes, although that's a part. But it's rather that I want everyone to use a bicycle instead of using fuel dependent vehicles like cars and stuff. No? So yan ang goal ko. No? I want everyone to ride the bike. If you go to a bank or to a grocery store or whatever, use a bike instead of using a car. Second to that, mobility advocate din ako. I advocate mass transportation, and it is a solution to the traffic that we have because there's too many private cars, diba? if we have an efficient mass transport system like bus rapid transit, trains, transportation hubs na pwede lumipat yung mga tao from the train to the feeder roads, diba? To solve the last mile problem in going to your house or to your home. Yeah, that's what I'm all about. And this is where cycling as an alternative transport comes into light. We see during the pandemic, it's sad that it took a pandemic to let people see how important cycling is. And there's another thing now: the rising fuel prices. Again, bicycles are seen in a good light. Now, aside from cycling, advocacy, ang interest ko ngayon actually is woodworking. So we bought a house kasi, and then we renovated it. Pina-renovate ko sa carpenters ng hindi kompleto, because I wanted to make the cabinets, the under sink cabinets, and I want to paint the walls and everything. So yun ang ginagawa ko. But needless to say, it's been a year now and I'm severely behind schedule. So I'm not in a rush naman to finish it. I'd like to savor the moments when paint splatters onto you and you get blinded by sawdust. That's when I'm happy. So what else can I say? One more thing pala. One more thing. We started a learning hub for neighborhood kids here in our neighborhood. And kasi during this pandemic, kids have a hard time learning reading, writing, and arithmetic. So we set up a few tables outside our house. Then we put books there, and then we tutor neighborhood kids. Me and my wife. So that's what we're doing right now.
Wow, that's so nice. Nakaka-warm naman ng heart yung lalo na yung last part na yon, yung pahabol, 'di ba? Buti naalala niyo yun, 'di ba? That's so nice. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Start pa lang, super nakaka-inspire na yung mga sinishare nyo. And hindi pa tayo nakakapunta kay Robert. So ngayon naman, Robert, how about you?
So, good afternoon. My name is Robert Alejandro. I'm 58 years old. I'm an artist by profession. Listening to Pio and Albert, I'm interested in everything they're interested in. I want to hear more about the Montalban farm, the carpentry. But if you ask me what I'm interested in, sa totoo lang, I was interested in so many things as well. But nung 2020 December, I nearly died, which changed my whole mindset. So now I'm interested in just surviving, just keeping alive. That's all.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Thank you sa inyong tatlo. And again, no, we're so happy na kasama namin kayo today. And siguro next question would be, how did the three of you meet? Diba? Kasi it's, Ruby, and the three of you know each other, of course. So I'm curious to know, how did you come to know each other? How did you get to know each other? What's the story behind that? Anybody could answer. Yeah.
I would like to start before I forget.
Okay, go ahead.
What do you call this? Before I entered UP, or for the first couple of years I was in UP, I lived before UP. I lived a very, very sheltered life, and I was an introvert. So never I did not have experiences outside my family. And even when I was in grade school and high school, I had friends but a very, very small circle na lahat kami nerds. Walang, what do you call this? Ako yung nilalagay ng mga kaklase ko sa bangko pag nagbabasketball. Kasi sa inyo na sila, Labrador, putya matatalo tayo. Yung ganung klase. No? So, no sports, no experience of the outside world, no public transportation, no nothing. Basically, myself, my hobbies, my home, my TV, my family, no? And when I went to UP for the first couple of years, I was still like that, but I had some crazy friends who would tell me about, oh, there's this group called the UP Mountaineers, ganon. These friends had an influence in my life because sila yung first experience ko of nakikidnap. Yung mga, uy, labas tayo. Tapos 2 days na hindi pa ako umuwi. Early college yan. So eventually, I was already interested in photography at the time. Dumaan ako sa tambayan ng UP Mountaineers habang nagre-recruit sila. At nakita ko yung photography nila. I grew up reading National Geographic. My parents had had a subscription. So araw-araw talagang we had stacks and stacks and stacks. Palagi ako nakababad sa National Geographic. Nung nakita ko yung yung exhibit ng UP Mountaineers, nagre-recruit sila, sumali ako. Knowing nothing, no? Takot na takot ako, parang shucks, mamamatay ako dito. Kasi napansin ko, they were all like big sporty people, walang nerds. Until one time, umakyat kami, tapos biglang kinausap ako ni Pio tungkol sa Lord of the Rings. So sabi ko, wow, may nerds pala dito. So that's how I suddenly started to become comfortable with the notion that I was in a group of like outdoors people. And then later on, si Robert became my teacher in UP Fine Arts. Kasi nag-start ako Archie, masama ako sa math, so hindi ako nakatapos ng Archie, lumipat ako ng Fine Arts. Naging teacher ko si Robert. Tapos, kaming barkada, yung nag-recruit kay Robert sa Mountaineers. So, BI kami. Bini-I namin yung teacher namin. So, that's basically my story of how I met them.
Oh my, nakakatuwa naman. Okay. So may ibang version ba yon from Robert and Pio?
I'm sure.
Well, ako naman, actually, I'm, siguro ako yung pinaka-senior, no? I entered UPM first before Albert and Robert and Ruby, of course. 90s na yata si Ruby. Yung nerd thing, well, siguro, close. Admit ako doon. Although hindi ako mukhang nerd.
There's no escape.
Well, when I open my mouth, yun. Actually, natutuwa rin ako when I talk to Albert kasi I can talk to him about a lot of things that I cannot talk to others with kasi hindi masyado nerds yung iba eh. So, in that sense, nag-jive kami ni Albert. Si Robert naman, well, tuwang-tuwa ako when nakilala ko si Robert because of Papa Milroti. Kasi nung high school ako, syempre, everybody goes there, di ba? Lalo na kung may bibiling ka para sa girlfriend mo, that time, di ba? That's a place to go. So when I met Robert, parang medyo in awe ako when I met him. And to find out that he's really down to earth, ang galing eh. I'm really glad I met these guys. So UP Mountaineers.
Yeah, I love that noon. Parang gusto ko yung sabi ni Pio na in-awe siya nung una nung na-meet niya si Robert, 'di ba? Pero it's so nice how you were all brought together. Parang you all got connected to each other, no? Parang I believe walang coincidences talaga. No coincidences, no accidents. And you were meant to meet each other, no? And how about Robert? Do you want to add anything to that? Like how how did you guys, parang ikaw, how was your experience of meeting them, na prof ka pala dati ni Albert, and then you got into UP Mountaineers also. How was that for you?
It was funny because I was quite a young teacher in UP Fine Arts. But then I always knew that when I wanted to join UP Mountaineers talaga. Sa simula pa lang sabi ko, kasi I didn't join when I was a student of UP. So parang this was my chance. I was a teacher and I was in UP, so this is my chance to join UPM. So it was so funny. I would teach Albert and his wife to be, and then after class, sila naman ang nagtuturo sa akin ng UP Mountaineer stuff. So it
Ng
was
mga
very, very
piso.
cool. No, good influence. But we got along very well. In fact, we got along so well that I just stuck to them. I hardly met. I didn't go out of my way to meet other people. I just stuck to just a small group of UPM. That's the kind of person I am. Yung parang I'm not very sociable. I just stick to a small group of people.
Right.
And Albert was, and the most beautiful wife was
Oh,
there.
nasa si Pia. Pa-hello nga kay Pia.
Natago. Alam niya, boy, natago niya.
That's so nice. So nag-jive naturally, right? Nag-jive naturally talaga kayo. And I want to go back to Albert pala, no? Nakakatawa yung experience of coming from a very sheltered background to finding yourself, like discovering that may ganito palang world, or I can actually do this.
I can be
you know?
part of that.
Exactly. I can be part of that. Like, I knew myself as a nerd before, pero, di ba, parang you ventured into it. Parang ako din eh, when I was in UP, well, hindi ko naisip talaga na mag-mountaineers noon, although I had friends na UPM, pero naiisip ko rin, parang in my mind, parang, sobrang fit nitong mga to, kasi parang alam ko yung training na ginagawa nila, parang medyo intense. Pero that's so nice. Thank you for sharing your stories about that. And siguro, moving forward, like, since UPM or UP Mountaineers yung common thread sa inyong tatlo, like, how do you think that has influenced you? Or do you think it had an impact on your paths, your individual paths, and your passions? Parang how has it contributed, or yun, how do you think it contributed to you? What was the impact of being a UP Mountaineers?
If I can start, for me, absolutely, UPM was more formative than my college courses. I learned more from being a mountaineer than being in school, because yun nga, napakaliit na mundo ko, and I knew there was a world out there, but I didn't know how to access it. And because of the experiences that I went through and the people that I met in the UPM, I became more confident. I became more open to the world. I became more sociable. Tapos for a long time also, it was the people I was working with were all from UPM, around UPM. So talagang nag-expand yung mundo ko dahil doon.
Right, okay. So talagang eye-opener.
Yeah, because the things you experience in the mountains, basically you're not worried about other things anymore once you start to learn how to be in the wilderness. Come back and your problems are not the same anymore.
That's so true. And it made me remember what Robert was saying a while ago sa intro niya, no? Parang yung only interest niya is surviving, di ba? Sabi mo yon kanina. Parang that's so beautiful also, because it reminds us of being in the moment eh. And I think it's the same experience that you would have when you go up a mountain or when you connect with nature, right? So that's beautiful. Thank you. How about Pio? Ayan.
Commute
Ah,
ka, Pio.
Ayun,
there you
ano,
go.
na-push ko pala mute. Ay, wait. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
loud and clear.
Okay. UPM teaches a lot of things. Apart from the obvious, teaches you mountaineering, physical skills. What many people don't really know is that UPN is a super environmentalist group. No? And that's what I really love most about UPN. So much so that it guided me into the path. Now, what can I do? Naisip ko, what can I do to help the environment? So since mahilig ako sa bikes, that's how I expressed my love for the environment by trying to convince everyone na bikes are an elegant way to get around and to save the planet. Diba? Kasi you don't use fossil fuels. So for me, the environmental influence of UPM has the greatest impact on me. Of course, being fit and all that, okay na rin yun eh. Pero number one talaga yung environmental influence.
Right.
Environmentalism.
I'm curious about that, Pio. Like even before you joined UP Mountaineers, you were already you already had this love for the environment, as in ganong level na or mas napaigting, like it was really
Yes, I do. Parang may predisposition ako towards that. No? Pero it was really UPM that gave that characteristic form. No? It parang mas nabuo sa UPM ang pagka-environmentalist ko. And I can say na sa mga old members ng UPM, that's what we call ourselves, the oldies. No? Talagang most of us, if not all, are really pro-environment. And it shows in a lot of things that we do.
wonderful. Thank you. And
Pio part din nung sa Firefly Brigade, remember? Tour of the Fireflies.
Yes.
I was telling Faye about it. Parang, ilang taong ka lang nun, Faye? 7, 8?
kung 7 ako, 97 ba yan?
97, di ba? Tama nag-start yung Firefly.
99 yun.
No, 9 years old ako.
Yeah. It was earlier. Pero maliit pa lang yun.
Oo.
Oh, maybe you could share a little about it for our listeners. So, what was it about? Yung Tour of the Fireflies?
The Tour of the Fireflies is the annual ride of the Firefly Brigade. Ang Firefly Brigade it's a bicycle advocacy group dito sa Pilipinas. Actually, during that time, kami yung pinaka-solid na talagang ang focus namin is introducing the bicycle to people as an environmental instrument. No? So yung Tour of the Fireflies, it's when we all gather together in Metro Manila, and then we do a 40-kilometer ride along. We pick 7 cities in NCR. So we ride, and then umabot pa nga at one time 15,000 riders. Nung nag-umpisa mga 100, 200 lang. Until we hit around 15,000 noong 2012.
I remember
something
that.
like that.
Nag-grow talaga siya.
And talagang malaking movement yung Tour of the Fireflies. And maganda, we encourage people to dress up in costumes. May theme kami, and then minsan ang theme namin, express your environmentalism. So yung mga iba, they ride as a tree, puno sila habang nag-ride. Hindi ko nga I can't imagine ang hirap-hirap gawin no, pero nakakatuwa talaga. So it's all syempre, for publicity, to make bicycle use aware sa mga tao. And judging from sa dami ng nagbabike ngayon, I'd like to think na we have had a hand in promoting bicycle use. So kaya pala Fireflies, kasi ang tawag sa amin Fireflies. It's an insect, di ba? Na it's actually a lepidopteran na umiilaw kasi yung may enzyme yon, luciferin, nagbi-mix with adenosine triphosphate, and this is me being nerdy. So anyway, ang Fireflies, pag may Fireflies ka sa community mo, ibig sabihin nun, malinis ang hangin. You have clean air. But once your air is polluted, the Fireflies go away. They seek an area that has clean air pa. So it is an indicator of clean air. If you don't have Fireflies, dragonflies in your community, ibig sabihin madumi yung hangin. So that's what we're doing. We're working to bring back the Fireflies into the cities, hopefully by cleaning the air.
Yes. Hay, nako. Sana tuloy-tuloy. Ang kailangan talagang ituloy-tuloy yung ganyan. Ay, nako. Okay, sige. Let's go to Robert. Let's go to Robert naman.
I think your question was parang how did UP Mountaineers, what is the impact of UP Mountaineers? For me, when I think about it, parang it's the other way around. Because of the kind of person I am, I joined UP Mountaineers. And I can see that in Albert, I can see that in Pio, I can see that in most, if not all, UP Mountaineers. Like everything, 100% that Pio is talking about, I am so interested in Montalban Farm, teaching kids, environment, biking, public transport, and even Albert, yung teaching in academe. So for me, it's that we're this kind of person, even though some are jocks and some are nerds, parang we're this type of person, and that's why we were all parang brought to UP Mountaineers. And even though we haven't seen each other for such a long time, yun nga, everything that they're into, parang, yeah, of course, we have to support that. And I believe in that. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think, ako naman, the way I see it or feel it, I'm more of the feel person kasi. Parang, when like, you know how there's a certain atmosphere, not just in a place, not just, but also with people, di ba? So, like for me, when I interact, for instance, with people I know who are from UP Mountaineers, or kahit na hindi na natin i-label as that, no? Parang people who have passions or interests like you guys do, like what you're into. I think it's wonderful kasi it's all about connection. It's all about not being isolated. It's all about being in a community, right? Or doing things together. So, tama eh, parang it draws you there. And at the same time, whatever that group or that community brings to you, parang it's a nice exchange, right? So that's how I see it, the way you explained it also, Robert. So, ganda. Ikaw, Ru, meron ka bang gustong itanong? Or you want to add something?
Na-enjoy lang ako makinig. Kasi nung ko narinig yung kwento, paano sila nag-meet eh.
Okay. Wonderful. Actually, true, si Robert binabanggit niya yung farm. Gusto ko ring marinig yung
Tama ko
farm.
din eh.
Well,
Nakikinig ko eh.
Pwede bang pag-usapan natin?
Organic farming ba yan,
Oo.
Pio?
Sige, sige, minsan.
Pero maganda. Anong goal niyo pala with the farm? Like, can you share a bit about that? Like, let's touch upon it a bit. So, why did you decide to have a farm? Or like, what do you have in mind behind
Hindi,
that?
yung farm kasi, the farm, it's around 12 hectares. No? So, that belonged to my parents. Nung 90s, they acquired it. But ngayon, they passed away. So, it's up to us kids to take care of it. So, it was actually my dad passed away in 2011. And then when my dad passed away, yung mom ko, parang ayaw niya na masyado pumunta doon. Kasi it reminds her so much of my dad. So medyo napabayaan. No? May palayan doon. And sometimes we plant vegetable plots. Tapos maraming fruit trees. So napabayaan for several years. Until medyo bumabalik na yung mom ko doon, and I was helping her develop the farm. But unfortunately, she passed away last 2018, 3 years ago. So medyo napabayaan ulit yung farm. But now we're picking up again and we're developing. So basically, the plan is to plant a lot of trees and have a few vegetable plots here and there. So kayo, kung gusto niyo magtanim doon, bigyan ko kayong one small piece. Gusto niyo
Yes, tara.
mga kamote, if you want
Let's
to
go
take care of
tomorrow.
it, you're so welcome to do that. It's here in Montalban.
Okay.
Mga
Ayun
recipe
pala.
nga ni Robert eh. Nakakagutom eh pag pinupost sa Facebook. Gusto ko gawin to.
That's so true. Okay. Ayan pala, meron tayong pagtataniman. Di ba? Thank you for that.
Gusto niyo
Okay.
lang.
Alright. So, sige. Ngayon naman, so we were talking about you and UP Mountaineers, like your friendship. And siguro now we could talk more about your advocacies or your passions. No? So like, I'm interested to know how you got into them, or maybe how you got into them. And was there ever a point, ito kanina ko naisip to, parang was there ever a point na when you were okay, I'm coming from this perspective na some people, when they are passionate about something or they want to do something, they want to work on something, parang sometimes they're hindered because baka hindi ako kumita dito, ganyan, or baka yung mga ganong issue, hindi ako kumita dito, or anything else, like whatever excuse, whatever reason. Like, was there ever a point in your lives na you were hindered to follow whatever you were passionate about? Yun. So, how you got into it, and was there ever a time that you got hindered? Ayan.
If I can start, my passions are not actually money making. It's what do you call this? So from the very start, parang nako, hindi ako kikita dito. Why am I interested in these things? No? By default, I think because of the generation we grew up in, ako, from a very, very early age, before UPM, I was interested in military history because of my dad. He would read books, he would tell me about the war. And that has been something that I grew up with even before UPM. In fact, when I went to UPM, I forgot about it for a while because iba yung direction ng isipan ko at the time. So it's been a hobby, much to my parents' dismay, to build scale models. No, if I can show you an example.
Yes, please.
Oh, ang gaganda ng ano.
Albert
Parang,
is so
parang
cool.
diorama, di ba?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, it's these things, no? Na they're little characterizations of weapons and stuff like that. And I grew up with that. Now, what's this? A lot of people will say, naku, war freak yan, war freak yan. Hindi actually, because learning about military history, for one thing, makes you abhor war. It makes you hate war. As a matter of fact, because if you learn about it, you know how terrible a thing it is, and as much as possible, you don't want you or your people or your children to experience it. Lalo na ngayon, you can see it happening around us, how terrible it is, no? That advocacy, it suddenly grew after I became a photographer. Kasi nagkaroon ako ng, what do you call this, funds to be able to pursue things that were not livelihood. And the interesting thing there is I got into this weird hobby called living history reenacting, no, which is basically people dressing up like people from way back and trying to experience what it was like. And it's weird because nagka-confluence of my career and my hobby. I started doing photography for Veterans Bank. And Veterans Bank, when I met the directors and the old people who were in charge in the bank, were all military veterans. And so all of a sudden, I was able to talk passionately about to people who were really interested in what I was interested because they were actually there. So to make matters short, no, it's like eventually this hobby grew and grew and grew until we were having reenactments in public to raise funds for the Hero Foundation. We made 2 million pesos for a foundation. And I got to meet people who suffered through the war. And I think one of the most dramatic times is like there was this guy, si Felipe Fernandez, who was a cavalryman. He was a horse soldier during World War II. And I spent 4 days with him. He was 97 at the time. And like ramrod straight, sundalo, up to the time he was 97. And we spent time talking, drinking beer. You know, he was watching our shows. We were watching his lectures. And when he said goodbye to me, and that was the last time I met, I was with him because he went back to the States and he died shortly thereafter. He told me, no. So we shook hands and his hand was shaking and he said, you know what? I know you've studied it, but no matter what, because of what I've seen, I wish that your generation and the generations beyond will never experience anything like that. So anyway, so nagka-confluence ng what do you call this, nag-interest, and then nagka-pandemic. Okay? So I live surrounded by books. I've been reading books since I was a kid. And what do you call this? I said, well, what if I write a book about World War II, about the Philippine experience of World War II? And because I was in touch with all of these people who like dressing up and collecting the equipment, I decided, well, it's about time to write a book. I'm not doing anything else. So early during 2021, I started completing a 10-year project I was working with. We had been taking pictures for 10 years, revising and reviewing and making sure everything is correct. And then late last year, we launched early last year, we launched this. So it's basically a book about Filipino soldiers in World War II, and it's never been done. So basically, what happened was we took all of these pictures, we researched, we collected, we met people who were involved, and made sure we got everything right, and we shot a pictorial history of what people wore during the last war. And yun, so I think the pandemic, the fact that I'm passionate about things, and the fact that I'm a very, very friendly person, I have a lot of friends, people contributed and it became a book. So that's where my passions and advocacies led to. So we were able to raise money for veterans groups, for the children of soldiers who were wounded and killed. We were able to show the public through reenactments what it was really like during the war. Because if you read about World War II in your school book, it's one page, and it says Death March, Death March, Death March. That's the only thing. And people don't know that the Philippines was the only place where we actually beat back the Japanese in 1941. So even mga sundalo nanonood ng shows namin walk up to us and say, "Thank you, I didn't know that." Yun. So it's weird to be passionate about military history and hate war at the same time, but it is a way of teaching people how terrible and how noble things are at the same time. Politicians make the decisions. Yung sundalo, yung guerrilla, is the one who will have to go out there and sacrifice his life without pay for nothing because of decisions politicians made. So yeah, that's how everything led up to that, and that's how it keeps me going. There are people to teach. There are people that will learn from the advocacy.
Grabe, Albert, while you were sharing that, no, well, let's take a moment. Kasi parang sobrang nag-goosebumps ako while you were sharing, because I could just really feel the passion. I could really feel the passion and your heart being poured into this work. And it's beautiful work. Congratulations for that. Salamat, no? And yeah, everything you said is so true. Parang it may sound weird, but it is true kasi the more that you study about something, the more you understand it, and the more that you have this lens, no, it changes the way, or it shifts the way you see things, diba? And yeah, I totally agree with that. There's always people to teach or to share this knowledge to pass this knowledge to, and noble work talaga eh, diba? I mean, I think yung passion, the passion that you have, sabi mo, it's not really money making, pero I think more than money, kasi yeah, it's one form of energy, it's one form of resource, but then it actually rippled out into so much more. Right. Diba? So, ang ganda. So I just had to say that. So, anyway, would you like to add anything else to that?
Yun nga, it wasn't a money-making thing. It was just, at the start, kakengko yan nga lang eh. Kasi nagbibihis ka ng mukha kang, di ba? You look like you're the people from before. But it's great because right now we're seeing young people get into it. The joke about reenactors is when you can finally afford all of the things that you need to collect, you're too old and you're too fat to represent accurately somebody from before. And now we have young people getting into it.
Can I ask Albert something?
Yeah, go ahead, sure.
So, Albert, this book that you made, it looks like a huge book.
It's 150 pages.
And it's big.
Robert was my teacher in graphic design, so I learned so much from him.
Albert, who's the publisher?
JMM Publishing. Dito lang sa Quezon City. Magaling sila.
No, publisher?
Publishing. Yeah, I made them the publisher because I needed to get the ISBN kaagad para ma-launch ko on time. I was supposed to be the publisher, but I said, never mind, I just want it out.
But who funded it? Sorry,
It was funded by Veterans Bank. The first edition was funded by Veterans Bank. The second edition, which is out now with improvements, is funded partially by Veterans Bank and by some of the bunch of crazy people.
Congratulations. I want to tell everyone listening that coming out with a book is absolutely no joke. And you can see it's frightening. And it's a big book. And Albert was saying he worked on it for 10 years. Congratulations, Albert. Hindi biro yan. It's a work of passion nga. It's amazing that you were able to do it.
It takes a village. It was a bunch of passionate guys. But then I was the one who said, kasi nag-away-away yan eh. And someone has to get beyond all the fighting to create something. So I said, okay, I'm going to take the ball and run with it. So
Good
that's how
job.
it happened. Thanks. I'm so happy that it actually got done.
Kami rin, happy. Yeah,
Abangan namin yan.
congratulations. Oo.
Hindi ako nakahabol doon sa unang printing. Eh.
Meron pa, may second printing.
Meron pa ba? Oo nga, kaya nga abangan eh.
It's what's this? It's going to be launched. It's been launched already. There's a second launch in the Philippine Consulate in DC. So on Araw ng Kagitingan, they're going to sell.
Okay. All right, nice. Malapit na.
I'll send you guys the link to the page because the book's out already. Anyone can buy it.
Yes, please. Maybe we could also include that in the link when we upload this on YouTube.
Sure.
Diba? Yeah, congratulations. Ang saya. Okay, sige. So, sino naman next? That was ang sarap pakinggan ng mga kwento nyo. Okay.
Nakikinig na nga lang ako eh.
Oo, nakakatuwa. How about Pio? Would you like to follow?
Yes, sure. Well, sa akin naman biking yung passion ko. One of my passions. And it started nung bata pa ako. When I was a kid, my parents didn't want to buy me a bike. Ayaw nila ako bilhan. So, ang ginagawa ko, pag lalabas ako, I borrow my friends' bikes. And then I bike the whole day in the New Year. But my parents know this, pero they're scared na ma-aksidente ako. So I guess ayaw nila ako bilhan. They don't want to buy me a bike. So I guess that's why I'm so passionate about bikes kasi pinagbawalan ako. Now when I was applying for high school, I took this exam sa Philippine Science High School. It was around 2-3 kilometers away from Visayas Avenue, from where we live. Kaya I had dreams of biking to school with my bike, Pero wala pa akong bike. But I was vocal about it. So sabi ng parents ko, sige, if you pass Philippine Science, we'll get you a bike. O di sige, okay. Pumasa ako, So okay na, That summer before I was going to school, before I went to school sa Philippine Science, yung pinsan ko na aksidente sa bike, Nabali yung dalawang paa niya eh. So we had on this, I think they call it an airplane splint, where your legs are high up in the air, tapos may rod na nakasement between that attaches both of your knees so hindi gagalaw. Ganun katindi yung accident niya. So needless to say, my parents didn't buy me a bicycle.
Hindi pa rin.
Even though we had a contract, So it brewed yung feeling na yun, wow, wala akong bike, ganun. Up to now, I still feel it. When I think about it, it really bothers me. Kaya ngayon, siguro I have 20 bicycles dito around the house. I'm crazy about bicycles, and that's how crazy I am. And I want to impart this craziness sa mga tao. And apparently, by the number of bikes that we see being used, apparently I'd like to think that I have a hand in convincing people. Now, Firefly Brigade was one of my organizations. And around 10 years after we formed Firefly Brigade, I formed Tiklop Society of the Philippines. And these are parang Firefly din, but folding bikes ang ginagamit. So why folding bikes? Kasi with folding bikes, you can fold the bicycles and then bring it along on a train, a car, tricycle, carabao, boat, and we call this bimodal transportation. It is mixing bikes with other modes of transport, which gives you a bigger range, mas malayo mararating. So that's what I'm all about ngayon. So, in terms of biking, talagang nasa advocacy side ako. Sa Tiklop Society, we organize rides, nightly rides. If you want to bike with us, you're most welcome to do so. We teach people how to bike properly on the road. We teach people how to maintain their bicycles, how to fix them, how to and our people, yung sa group namin, they think it's all about bicycles. No, it's not. We also inject environmental issues at saka social issues. In effect, we want our members to be good citizens, good Filipino citizens. That's what it's all about. Akala nila biking lang, but actually we tackle a whole other range of issues. Ngayon, yung isang passion ko naman is kids, children. Noong 1985, si Boy Shoho, Dennis Cachenza, mga UP Mountaineers to, inimbita ako to be a volunteer sa isang group called Camp Pagkakaisa. Camp Pagkakaisa is parang you can volunteer there as a big brother or big sister, and then naalagaan mo isang usually orphan, isang kid with special children. Basta children with special needs. Yun yung correct term yun. Most of them come from institutions, mga orphans, from LC Gatches, ayun ng kabataan. We bring them out of town, and then we make a 10-day camp. So for 10 days, we live with these kids, and then we eat together. We usually it takes place in an elementary school, central elementary school of that town. And then every day may theme kami, may Mardi Gras Day, where we dress them up in costumes, parang may Mardi Gras kami. May Santa Cruzan, sa Santa Cruzan ng kids around town. May Special Olympics na merong mga events, tapos they get to go on the podium, may gold medal sila. May barangay night when we invite the people in the barangay to perform on stage, papalakpakan namin. There's madami pa no? Basta 10 yun. And then actually, what makes it so special, this was when through this organization, na-meet ko si Ethel, who became my wife. So pareho kami, may passion in, sa mga kids. We want to teach kids. There's really a soft spot in our hearts for children. So up to now, like what I mentioned earlier, we set up, ang tawag namin, Tropa Kids Learning Hub. And we teach the neighborhood kids how to read, how to write, and do arithmetic. And sa awa ng Diyos, may nag-donate mga ukulele sa akin. So soon I will be teaching them how to play the ukulele. And siguro I'd like this to expand. Siguro may mga may mga guest teachers sana to teach the kids. No? Yun lang naiisip namin. But and this is for free, no? Walang bayad to sa mga bata. Kasi they can't really afford it. They can't really afford usually mga anak ng mga karpentero, ng mga there's so much work to be done as much as kids are concerned. So I'd like to think na somehow we are making a tiny dent sa problem ito sa education. And I hope a lot of other communities set up the same the same learning hubs all throughout the Philippines para ma-solve ang problem about education. Sayang, kawawa yung mga bata. And
Yeah.
when you see them, pag makita mo sila, matuto magbasa, matuto mag-multiply, nakakatuwa talaga eh.
Mm.
So I hope when they grow up, mas malaki yung chance sila to have a better life when they grow up.
Right.
Sige,
I
mag-volunteer ako.
yeah, sorry.
Sa araw.
Magtuturo daw siya. Magbo-volunteer teacher.
Sure. Malayo lang, sa Montalban kami.
Ang layo.
Sabay visit sa farm.
Oo nga, sabay visit sa farm.
Sabay visit sa
Tama.
farm. Reminds me, di ba Robert, parang may ganun ka before? Sa art naman, di ba? Long time ago eh. Party school ba yun?
Hindi, si Robert may online nakakatuwa.
Hindi, meron pa siya before eh. Parang pupunta ka sa Manila eh. If I remember correctly.
Pandakan.
Diba? Oo, Pandakan ba yun? Anong tawag doon? May tawag doon sa ano mo nun eh.
Well, I used to work with an org called ATD Fourth World.
Oo. Tama. Galing.
Ang ganda. Actually, you know what came to my mind habang nagkukwento si Pio? Parang, if I may share lang, nag-pop lang sa mind ko, life is good. You know that line, life is good. Parang, yes, a lot of work still needs to be done, diba? Pero I think with the passion that you have, the advocacies that you have, that naturally come out, it makes life good and it makes life better for a lot of people, diba? So parang, I think the passions, hindi rin siya coincidence, I guess. Hindi rin siya accident kasi it's meant to be planted in you so that you could actually help a lot of people. And two things, no? Kasi Pio mentioned about yung sa biking, sa cycling. And in the organizations that you have, it's not just about cycling itself, but actually educating people how to be a good citizen, how to be an environmentalist, diba? And I think parang effect na lang yung cycling eh, because it has to start there, like the love for environment, the love for community, the love for, diba, for people. That's why parang yun yung big why on why you came up with these ideas, diba? Why these ideas came into fruition, diba? So it's a very nice way to spread it. It's actually through education, through educating people, diba? Na parang hindi lang siya basta ito, sige gawin natin, but ito yung dahilan, like this is the reason behind it, right? And education talaga. I think etong, sa totoo lang, no, in reality, itong dalawang to yung marami namang issue, but for me, I see them as the big chunk of yung concern, if we may say, concern dito sa bansa rin talaga natin. So, I salute you. Thank you for your work also. And, okay. Salamat. And now, let's go to Robert. Ayan, excited din ako marinig.
Actually, I'm so happy and proud to hear about the passions of Albert and Pio. We were talking about our friendship, and I can see it's so clear why we're friends, because parang, birds of a feather come together. Everything 100% of what my friends are talking about matters so much to me as well. Albert talking about learning about war, And when you learn about war, you learn why we don't need war. Pio teaching kids, my goodness, I've been doing that all of my life. And parang everything they're doing is so exciting to me. Your question, Faye, was when you pursued your passion, did it ever come to your mind that, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that because, I'll be wasting my time. I won't earn from it. My answer to that was, I've been very blessed and fortunate, not because I have the means, but I'm not, wealthy. I'm so not wealthy compared to my peers. But it never pursuing my passion never occurred to me that, oh, I should stop doing this because it's a waste of time and energy and I won't make money out of it. I'm so blessed na it never even occurred to me. Parang I have a passion. I can see it's important. I go for it like a freight train and no one can stop me. And I come out of it so blessed and so incredibly happy. And I'm not talking about just myself. I'm talking about my friends, Pio, Albert, and my friends I have so many artist friends as well. We have a organization called Ilustrador ng Kabataan. We're all the same, stupid, a little poor, but incredibly happy. But we know the work that we do and the passion that we do is so incredibly important. When I hear the stories of Pio and Albert, sabi ko, there's so much hope for this country when we have people like this.
That is so true. That is so true. And you were saying na parang poor. I think ano din eh, parang, well, maybe when we talk about it, no, isang aspect financially, pero hindi rin talaga poor eh. Kasi it's like listening to you three, you're so rich, so abundant, right? So abundant talaga, sa totoo lang. And it's the kind of abundance that trickles na, actually hindi nga trickle eh, it pours a lot to different people, communities, diba? It's, wow, it's so amazing. So that's why we're really honored to have this conversation with you. And before having this conversation, itong umaga parang naisip ko, sabi ko, wow, I feel na itong usapan na to sobrang malaman, maraming mapupulot, so many life lessons, right? So many, a lot of inspiration. I'm sure the listeners of this episode would be so filled, so filled also with a lot of love and inspiration. So thank you for that. And siguro, to wrap it up, no? Kasi na rin tayo, 1 hour na rin tayo.
Ang bilis naman!
Ang bilis! Sobrang bilis! I know!
Tayo nagsisimula!
Parang warm up pa lang yun.
Oo nga!
Pero Faye I must say, doon sa mga sinishare nila, lumalabas talaga yung pagiging authentic ng pagkatao.
Yeah.
Oo, yun. Rare na yung, siguro lang kasi parang si Albert, hindi lang masyado lumalabas. Pero silang tatlo yung masasabi mo na isa sa mga totoong tao na what you see is what you get actually. Yun yung isa pa napansin ko sa UPM. Nandun ako, noong mga panahon na yun. Mawawala yung arte mo sa katawan, promise.
Mawawala talaga, hindi pwede.
Hindi pwede.
Parang walang tissue, madami dyan pwedeng gamitin.
Correct. Paano ka magiging maarte? Walang tissue.
Walang banyo?
Walang banyo. Sorry, walang banyo.
Diba? Tsaka talagang magsusurvive ka kasi yung tubig mo, yun lang yung tubig mo. 2 litro, yung isa para doon sa grupo, yung isa sa'yo.
Correct. Paano ka magiging
Diba?
maarte? Wala,
Oo,
hindi
wala talaga.
pwede.
Grabe. Sobra. Talagang, kung ano yung lutuin dyan yung kakainin mo. Walang arte yun talaga. Natuto ako dun. Mga nakasama ko sila sa bundok. Saya ko talaga. So, ayan. Faye. Nakamute ka.
Commute.
Ayan, sorry. So, kaya I think yung sabi ni Albert kanina, no, yung sobrang mas marami siyang natutunan sa mountaineering, 'di ba? Sa UP Mountaineer kasi it's life. Like it exposes you or it actually opens your eyes to real life, no? And doing it with people as well. Yun yung masaya kasi
Right.
hindi ka rin mag-isa. So it's a shared experience with the community as well. 'Di ba? Sarap, ang sarap ng kwentuhan. Anyway, sige. So I think maybe we could wrap it up by you sharing maybe words of words of encouragement or words of inspiration to our listeners. No, so whatever you feel like sharing, whatever comes to you. So just follow your heart. Follow what you want to say. Sige.
For me, what's this? The thing that I've learned up to, you're learning it every day, is that fear is there. Fear is part of life. But you have to learn how to step beyond it, face the fear, and say, "I'm here. I'm going to do it." Failure is always a possibility, but if you let fear, if you let all of these things intimidate you and weigh you down, sayang, because there's so much you can do. And just taking that one step is already an adventure, and that already enriches you. Just being able to say, you know what the heck, I'm gonna go do something.
Yes. Sabi nga, di ba, we're always just one step away
Right.
from whatever wonderful or miraculous thing that is, right?
And the fear is always there. So no matter whether you do it or whether you don't do it, it will still be there.
Yeah. Definitely. Oh, yes. Ang sarap nun. Okay, thank you, Albert. Sige, how about Pio? Would you like to go next?
Ako na naman. Sige. I have 2 things to say. No? First, I'm blessed to have a wife, a partner, who is my partner dito sa mga advocacies ko. Actually, sa pagtuturo sa mga bata, she's more of the driving force doon. She's the one who is really passionate about teaching kids. Ako, I'm also passionate. Pero more of a support role lang ako doon. But support naman 100%. Sa bikes naman, I would say na ako ang mas passionate, and I drew her into the world of cycling, and she supports me 100%. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is I am blessed to have a partner na ganun yung partnership namin. Nag-jive talaga. And second, yung second na gusto ko sabihin, I think it was Mother Teresa who said na advocacy is the rent that you pay for staying on this planet, or something like that. So maybe that's why we do this, no? Kasi you need to give to others para mas maganda yung mundo natin. So ang message ko to everyone, no? Get an advocacy you like and run with it. No? If all of us have advocacies of different sorts, di ba napakaganda ng mundo natin? So that's it. Sana lahat tayo may advocacy na we work for.
Sobra, wow. Naiiyak na ako. Naiiyak, pero nakaka-touch kasi, diba? Totoo talaga. Thank you for that. Thank you. You have an advocacy, run with it. Diba? Don't let anything or anyone stop you.
Anything, basta anything that makes our world better. Cumulative yun eh. Yung effect nun. Diba?
Yeah. Sobra. Wow. Okay. And Robert.
Di ba si Ethel ba yung asawa ni Pio?
Kaya katabi niya.
Yeah, kaandyan.
Diyan.
Love you, Ethel.
Stand up, Ethel.
Ako naman,
Hello daw.
gusto kong sabihin sa mga nakikinig na sabi nga ni Faye, walang nothing is a parang coincidence. May rason kung bakit nakikinig kayo ngayon. Yung mga nakikinig, ikaw ang nakikinig ngayon, you are very special. Napaka-unique mo, wala kang katulad. Pwede mong sabihin, ay, si Kuya Robert, si Albert, si Pio, syempre, nakakatulong ng ibang tao kasi may kaya sila. Hindi po totohanan yun. Ikaw, buhay ka, meron kang talino, nakakaiba na, walang kagaya mo. At ikaw, pwede ka rin tumulong sa iba, pwede ka rin magturo, marami kang pwedeng gawin. Yung passion mo, pwede mong hanapin. At sabi nga ni Pio, run with your passion and give it away, spread it. At sabi ko nga, yung parang yung mga iniisip natin, wala naman tayong kikitain dito. You know what I always thought? Wala naman nagiging poor nobody gets poor by giving away. You will get even more rich. So yun lang gusto kong sabihin, na i-encourage yung mga nakikinig na kayo rin, you can be a hero and we can make, especially the Philippines, super fantastic. Sabi nga nila, it takes a village. Kasama tayo, kapag nagtutulungan tayo, we can do amazing things for this country. Thank you, Faye. Salamat.
Yes. Nako, sobrang totoo. Grabe. Amen to that. And ang sasarap ng mga sinabi nyo. Sana manamnam talaga ng mga listeners din natin, no? No words, but just really thank you. Thank you so much for the light that you all are. The love that you all are. It's so, it makes this world fantastic. Katulad nga ng sabi ni Robert, no? It makes this world better, brighter, and just really fantastic. So, tama, like, ang buhay ay mahalaga, right? So, I think the fact that we are here right now, and the listeners, you guys are listening right now, you can place your hand on your heart, right? You can place your hand in your heart, and like, if you feel that beating, that's a very beautiful gift, not just for you, but for the people around you. And wow. So I think, after this interview, we will end this with I'll offer a sound bath meditation for us if you guys have time. So we will wrap it up, but when we end the recording, we'll have a little gift, sound bath meditation. And Ru, would you like to add anything else before we end our episode?
Sobrang blessed lang talaga ako. And thank you, Faye, for hosting. And the conversation was an inspiration. Parang nagising na lang ako ng umaga. Parang, kasi tagal ko na tinatanong si Robert. Remember, Robert? Tinatanong ko kita. Sabi ko, parang hindi kaya si Robert. Tapos, sabi ko, parang si Albert din, si Pio din. Kasi nakita ko yung works nila during the pandemic, the lockdown. Community pantry na ginawa nila Robert. Tapos si Pio handing out yung reflectorized vest sa mga first time na nagbibisikleta. Tapos ginagabayan yung mga first time bikers din, cyclists din. Namigay din kayo ng helmet eh. 'Di ba?
Yes, yes.
So, makikita mo sila na nando sa may Congressional Avenue or EDSA, I think. Basta meron silang mga ganon. Tapos si Robert inspiring people about discovering that, oh, you can eat healthy, na hindi lang puro junk food, mga ganon. So, nakaka-inspire. Ka-inspire talaga. Parang the pandemic, well, yung lockdown brought you much more closer to the person parang who you really are. And you're sharing it to the gift, yung authenticity mo. And it came out. So, the lockdown really, kumbaga, brought you closer and share your inner life to the people, to humanity. Ganun. So, yun lang naman. Salamat pinakunlakan nyo kami, ha?
Super feel good.
Salamat, Ru.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Maraming salamat talaga. And it was indeed a sacred conversation, di ba? So, thank you so much. So, to our listeners, thank you so much for also joining us. We hope that you enjoyed that chikahan, that conversation. And we'll see you again on the next episodes. So, thank you so much. And stay safe. And remember, you are important, you are a gift, and you are light, and shine that light brightly. So thank you so much, and bye.